Hello out there in YouTube land. This will be a bit of a talking head update. I'm hoping to get some racing footage up a little bit later today, but in the meantime, there's a few things to update on the channel. A couple of things that are sort of in the works happening that are worth a little bit of commentary. So it won't be a big long rambling video, just hopefully a short one. I mean, I tend to ramble anyway, but we'll see how we go. There'll be a contents list in the comments if you want to skip to the relevant bits. What I'll be talking about, tiny bit of channel stuff, but mainly looking at the state of sim racing wheels on the market at the moment. So that will be the main focus, and then just a little bit of general gaming talk. Okay, so first things first, a little bit of channel related news. My unboxing video, which I uploaded as a joke many months ago, 7 months ago, has finally been surpassed by all the people tuning in for stuff relating to the CSL DD. Obviously it's huge news on the market at the moment, and there's a lot of thirst for content out there, and one of the things I'll do in this video is just point out some of the options currently out there if you want to learn more about the CSL DD. Some units have found their ways into the hands of a few YouTubers, so I'll call those out shortly. All right, so yeah, thank you for all those people who've tuned in and watched. If you watched the channel for the first time, thank you. You know, it's not a great channel by my own admission, but you know, I do put some time and effort into it. So thanks for stopping by, leaving comments, etc. And I do try to respond to everyone. All right, so first things first, the CSL DD is obviously the biggest news in the sim racing world at the moment, and on the Fanatec blog there has been a lot of news released. So if you haven't headed over there for a look yet, you know, make sure you go and do so, because it's got pretty much all the information you need to know. So they've basically confirmed the release pricing. They've also confirmed how you go about ordering it, and so the highlights are, for starters, the different options to purchase have been announced. So obviously the €349 US starting point is confirmed for just the base model with the standard power supply, and that's worked out at $599 Australian, which is pretty much exactly what we're expecting. And that puts it bang on head-to-head against the Thrustmaster T300, and also eradicates the it also goes head-to-head against the CSL Elite. And funnily enough, Fanatec have stopped making the CSL Elite, and they've also stopped making the CSW25, the club sport, because the CSL DD with the boost kit is $479 US or Euro, $829 Australian. Now that is probably a little bit higher than expected. It means that the power supply has come in at about $150 US, or the eye-watering $260 if bought separately here in Australia. You know, about $230 if bought as part of the bundle. Honestly, this is Fanatec taxing us a little bit here. Like, this is enthusiast tax here. There is no way on earth this power supply has that justifiable price. The only way they can get away with this is just the fact that the next step from here is to either a boutique thing like the VSR, or the Fanatec DD1 if you're staying in ecosystem. And for the VSR, you're looking at an additional $500 without any kind of wheel. So then you've got to, you know, look at the wheel solutions for that, which are quite limited, because it's more about using off-the-shelf wheels. So a bit more sort of enthusiast level. With the DD1, you know, if you're staying in the Fanatec ecosystem, you're looking at an additional $1,000 Australian to make the jump to that. So they do have the enthusiast market over the barrel here. It's still a phenomenal purchase at $830 Australian dollars, because, you know, it's blowing the entire market apart. The CSW Club Sport is about $1,000. So whilst this hurts, it's not a happy pricing. It's still by head and shoulders the cheapest DD on the market, and, you know, still absolutely smashing the belt-driven market as well. So no big love for Fanatec for this pricing on the power pack, but then again, we still have to love them because they're bringing DD down to a reasonable price. So we can't do much about that. Table clamp is a known quantity. It's the same table clamp that's already available. So actually, I think it is a slightly custom design to suit the DD, but either way, it's in line with their existing table clamp pricing. So 50 bucks. There's also extended warranty options. I'm not going to talk about that. That's not terribly interesting. They've also announced pricing for the CSL pedals. Look, if you're not in the pedal market yet, they are going to be an interesting option. I honestly think at the moment some of the prices I'm seeing on the TLCMs, and if you are considering a pedal upgrade and you haven't looked at the TLCM seriously, now is the time to do it. I've seen them as cheap as about 300 bucks. They are ludicrously cheap at the moment, and they're phenomenal. Those are part of my rig that I'm not planning an upgrade anytime soon. Once I've recovered from the financial shock of buying a Fanatec setup and a couple of wheels, maybe in a year's time. Even then, unlikely, I might consider a pedal upgrade. But honestly, these TLCMs are fantastic that I've got. So, but yeah, do check out that pricing. Now, as far as ordering the wheel goes, they've done it in a pretty clever way that guarantees that it's going to be difficult for scalpers, and it's mainly going to focus on people who genuinely are sim racers. So the first wave of orders is open already. That's for people who've already purchased from Fanatec directly and have subscribed to the newsletter. So those people are able to get in on that first wave of pre-orders. Now, if there's any stock left, the next wave of pre-orders, or rather, what I'm guessing is they're sort of allocating manufacturing slots here. They'll then take pre-orders from the second wave, which are people who have a Fanatec account and have subscribed to the newsletter, and again, 1 unit per customer. And this means that that's how they'll pick up the people who are jumping across brands. Kind of wishing I'd known that this was going to be the case, because I probably would have ordered some of the gear ahead of time to get on that first wave, but such is life. On the other hand, as you'll see later in the video, it has worked out okay for us who haven't ordered something from Fanatec before, because that being forced to wait has meant that there's new wheels available to purchase, and across the board they're generally either better, cheaper, or both. Finally, the third wave of orders will be the open to the public. So that's the details on the Fanatec release. If you haven't already looked, which I highly doubt there's many people left in that category, but there you go. Now, to coincide with the release of the pre-orders, they have put some DDs in the hands of some YouTubers. So these were about 2 weeks ago. So Boosted Media, Chris Hay, and Gamer Muscle Videos. Having watched all three, my recommendation is skip the Boosted Media video. Not because it's bad per se, but if you watch Chris Hay and Gamer Muscle, you're going to get everything you need in fact-wise and impression-wise from those two videos in half an hour. That the Boosted Media guys, they cover literally everything. Like, it's quite exhausting. Like in some cases there's a lot of repetition. There's not many things that they say that they don't then repeat a second or third or fourth time. And part of that's off the cuff content production, which is fine. That's how I roll. But some time in the editing suite would have brought the length down for starters. And the other knock I have against those videos is they're talking at it really strongly from the perspective of people who are already running. One of the presenters has a DD1, and the other guy has the SimuCube top of the line M20 or whatever it is. And both of those are very expensive, very high end, very powerful, and they come to the conclusion that there's no sense in them buying the CSL DD as people who have direct drive models that are twice as powerful. Now, you don't need an 80-minute video to arrive at that conclusion. It's obvious. That's not who the CSL DD is for. And it by the end of the video, it comes off as a bit grating. This sort of like, oh well, it's not quite powerful enough. But for esports, or if your main concern is lap times, it's powerful enough. You get all the fidelity, but it's just and it's like just keep, relax, guys. You're talking about an entry-level DD product, which is not something that has existed before. And the customers who are buying this, they're going to be people who are after an improvement on a belt-driven wheel and not looking at, well, I've already got this $3,000 direct drive model, but hey, maybe I want to downgrade for some reason. So yeah, it seems more like a reassurance video for already high-end users rather than a useful appraisal for us down in the mere mortal markets who don't get paid to make sim racing content. So yeah, I would say it's, sure, you got an 80 minutes to kill, watch the whole thing. But, even, for me who wanted to make video content about this stuff and is buying one of these things, regardless, I was kind of tuning out about halfway through because they run things into the ground. Even talking about them doing their video is over long already. So anyway, so yeah, have a look at Chris Hayes' video, have a look at Gamer Muscle's video. They will tell you everything you need to know. You'll get a good impression of what the wheel's capable of. You'll see some gaming footage, etc. But the general consensus so far is that it has all the finesse, fidelity, quality that you would expect from the Podium DD1, but with a lower power ceiling, which is kind of exactly what we expect. It's kind of exactly what we want. The general, from just reading around the DD market, most people don't run their direct drive units at a super high power level. So even those who have access to, say, the DD1 or DD2, they're probably running 12 to 15 Newton meters torque as their ceiling. And for not a fraction, half the price, you've got getting something that'll get you to 8 Newton meters, which is going to be plenty of detail and still enough force. Like, there's no one out there who's saying, oh, gee, the CSW 2.5 or the TS PC, oh, they're weak. Okay, that's sort of the power levels that this thing's operating at. Those are belt-driven units that made people really, really happy. And this is a direct drive unit, which is even still marginally more powerful than both. That's now going to have that finesse and instantaneous response and the high fidelity that you'd expect of a direct drive wheel. So yeah, it looks like it is exactly what was promised by Fanatec. So it doesn't need an 80-minute video yet. I'll be looking forward to Sim Racing Garage's review. He's going to review a production model, and as usual, he was going to pull the whole thing apart and really have a good look at it. But that will mainly just be for interest. Honestly, this looks like it's one of those things where there's ironically not that many moving parts, and so as long as the design is sound, it should do exactly what it says on the tin. And the thing that we're all basically waiting to hear is, does it deliver the same quality of experience that the DD1 and DD2 does in a cheaper, smaller package? And the consensus so far is yes, you're getting that same detail, that same information. The thing you sacrifice is that high-end power, where if you really want to add a lot of weight behind the steering, or if you want to have very strong force collisions and things like that, it's not going to have that ceiling. You'll kind of clip off on those really strong interactions. But to be honest, those are there mainly for immersion rather than for giving you a quality of experience and communication of what the car's state is through the wheel. And if you're someone who's currently very happy operating any belt-driven wheel, the power level is going to be fine. And for most of us, it'll be a significant upgrade. So that's the CSL DD release stuff that I wanted to talk about so far. So right now, still waiting on the Wave 2 pre-orders, which I'm hoping I will get an email. Apparently there's been a few little niggles. If you look at the Reddit, the Fanatec Reddit, a few of the existing customers haven't been getting the emails and such, but there's always going to be some sort of teething trouble. Now, still on Fanatec. The other exciting thing is that as well as the DD and the pedals, they are starting to release their new line of wheels. So not much has changed at the super high end. So the Porsche GT wheels are still eye-wateringly expensive, but also incredibly desirable. But where the excitement begins is when we start to get below 700 Australian. So we're starting to see V2s of a lot of the existing range, particularly the ones which are based on the Universal Hub. So they're releasing new wheels to take advantage of the new Universal Hub. Now the new Universal Hub has a couple of nice advantages. For one, it's a little bit cheaper, so that's always nice. So you're saving about 30-40 bucks. It's also got magnetic shifters and a little bit more information on the readout on the top. So it's a slightly improved version of the product. And in terms of value for money, just that little bit cheaper. Now, the downside is that that whole lineup isn't due to arrive. It might be different in different parts of the world, but certainly in Australia, the availability date is October 27th. So in terms of when they'll land in people's laps, that is about a month, about a month after the CSL DD is due to arrive in Australia and on the market in general. Most people are saying that the delivery dates for the CSL DD are around September. So that's one thing that's a little bit of a kick in the pants. If you are just buying the one wheel and you're looking at one of these Universal Hub V2 based wheels, you've got a little bit of soul searching. Can you wait that little bit of extra time to get the slightly upgraded product? Like, it's not dramatically upgraded, but it's a slightly upgraded product. Or can you live with the older version and getting it? You know, you'll get it before you get the wheel hub. So that's kind of one of the things that's happening in the market. So V2 versions of the Universal Hub. The other thing that has been announced is they announced this limited edition Formula One wheel. They did 2,021 of those, and they were sold out pretty much instantly. Those were an amazing buy because they included the advanced paddle shifter. And so for a while they made the old Formula V2 look like an absolute rip-off because you were getting an extra $150 worth of gear for basically another 30 bucks. It also has a couple of little glowy lights and stuff like that, which is nice. But the bigger news is it's based on the V2.5 platform, which has released a little cheaper. So still the best value. I mean, if you can somehow get your hands on this, getting that advanced paddle shifting setup is a really good buy. But the V2.5 is due to land roughly at the same time as the CSL DD. So clearly, Fanatec are expecting this to be their number one pairing. And given the feature set of the wheel, that's probably fair enough. I know I'm certainly strongly considering one. I mean, the McLaren CSL GT3 is also dropping around the same time, so I think that's kind of what they anticipate the market will be. Half will go for the McLaren, half will go for this. But this definitely looks like a big step up from the McLaren. You know, it's got the two rotary encoders here for your hands-on while you're driving, plus rotary encoders here, display, but also has the new standard paddle shift compared to this, which incorporates a magnetic shifter just for a bit of better paddle feel. So it's a slight upgrade over the V2. It comes with a slight discount, which sort of massages the pain. It doesn't ease the pain, it massages the pain of missing out on this. But I really wish I'd done my homework around this thing coming out, because tremendous value. I would have jumped on it if I knew what a big value proposition that was. But either way, exciting. Now there's not much else happening in the lower end of the market. So you know, the McLaren V2 wheel, that's going to be coming out at the end of the month. That'll be a very common pairing with the CSL DD, and that was one, like, I still haven't 100% decided which way I'm going to go, if I'm going to spend the extra for the Formula or if I'm going to go for that one. But this, like most of the testing on those videos I showed you earlier, was either the McLaren GT wheel or the WRC, and both worked fine with the CSL DD. So, and that's whether they're using the standard output, the 5 Newton meter or the 8. So either wheel seems to be a good pairing. Because I need a round wheel, because, you know, as you've seen from my channel, or if you haven't looked at my channel yet, my channel contains mostly rally content. A round wheel will definitely be needed, and I've got to do my bit of soul searching. Do I get the WRC wheel? It's a little bit smaller than the I've got the It's a bit smaller than the Sparco rally wheel I've got on my Thrustmaster at the moment. So it looks a little toy-ish, but not dramatically smaller. So it's meant to be kind of an authentic size. Either that, or do I bite the bullet and wait for the universal hub-based R330 V2, or just buy the R331? Honestly, it's giving me a headache. There's this Club Sport wheel round. I haven't investigated that too much, but I think it's a slightly smaller wheel than that. So part of it is I do want a decent size round wheel. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Porsche RSR. Good thing I've got a bit of time to make a decision on that one. But this does seem like a good little wheel. There's no real complaints about it. Just for me, the size is a little bit off-putting. But at least it's available instantly. I won't have to wait. Whereas with almost every other option, there'll be a bit of a wait. And there'll be nothing more torturous than having the wheelbase sitting here and not being able to play the games I like to play. So that's the Fanatec news. So some exciting releases. Well, not exciting. Some nice releases. Definitely consumer-friendly releases on the wheel market to coincide with the very consumer-friendly CSL DD, which is going to be pre-orderable soon. Not in our laps until about September. Now, just Thrustmaster's response, interesting. There's nothing concrete at this point. They've made 2 teaser posts on their Facebook. The more recent one is the T-RTF, and they also alluded to the T-DCC, which, if we keep scrolling, just keep scrolling. Here we are. So T-DCC and the T-RTF. Now, a lot of the people are speculating that because the letter D is being used here, that might hint that this is direct drive. And there's a lot of, optimistic somersaulting going on to try and think, well, maybe the RTF is the direct drive. It's a little hard to read. You'd think Thrustmaster would want to get ahead of this direct drive talk if they had something to announce. And this is an interesting thing. Like, Thrustmaster does not offer any kind of direct drive product right now. They just aren't in that market segment. And it's not to say a company like them couldn't get into that market, but one of the things people give Fanatec a hard time for is, not getting things right on their first try. And so for Thrustmaster to completely jump into a new market segment, and not only do that, but do that in a way that's price competitive or quality competitive with the CSL DD, I would love if that were the case. That is, that would be really nice. It would mean I could keep the 3 Thrustmaster wheels I already have and just offload my wheelbase. Here's my co-host Tycho dropping in. Hello, buddy. That would be nice. I would love to be able to just use what I already have. But the reality, I think, of the situation is that I think it's too big a jump. If Thrustmaster is bringing out a direct drive unit, it would have been targeted at, the podium range, the DD1 and DD2. You just can't turn a product launch around like that. Bad things happen for quality or reliability when stuff gets respec'd in a rush, in haste. Okay, and kind of Fanatec really caught everyone off guard with the CSL DD. So I don't know. I mean, the fact that they've gone T-DCC instead of T700 in this teaser might mean that this is a direct drive product, and the fact that it's being part of the T number range could hint that it's priced to compete in that segment. The T-RTF, people are going, they're talking about, real true feedback and other nonsense like that. It also could be a high-end version of the T-Flight. This is if you look at the visuals here, it's a big square block. So it could be the joystick base. So I would say that they're about to announce a new flight stick, and that would probably make more sense given how old their existing product range is. Now I'm getting the butt on the back of my head. Thanks, buddy. A new flight stick would make more sense to me. So I don't think this is a direct drive wheel. Like, if they are announcing a direct drive wheel, it'll be whatever the T-DCC is. The T-RTF, I don't think it has anything to do with sim racing. And this logic that, oh, they're new T products like the TLCMs that, you know, they've been racing products. Well, that just might be just a realignment of their range. So they are going to do something. They're going to make announcements about all this this Thursday, and so that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But honestly, for me, my line of thinking, and you know, this is how I'm rationalising it, and maybe part of it is just trying to rationalise being impatient. The Fanatec ecosystem has a bit more. It's got a bit more future upgrade path going on. With the Thrustmaster stuff, you know, I have accumulated some nice gear. I do love what I have already, and it, you know, I'm not thrilled about the idea of moving the wheels that I have on, but in both cases, you know, the Sparko mod, apart from wheel diameter, it's got the same functionality as the WRC wheel. The Formula wheel is outclassed in every step, even by the McLaren wheel, let alone the Formula V2.5. So it's not something that I'm not being suckered here. I'm getting something out of the upgrade. And yeah, you know, it's not the best option financially, but sim racing is one of those hobbies where you're going to eat dirt every once in a while, either because of upgrade path or whatever have you. So that's just the way it rolls, and you kind of need to decide for yourself, is it worth just waiting to see what Thrustmaster come up with, given that, and it, you know, it's a lot of big question marks considering they're not in the direct drive market segment to begin with. And I mean, maybe the pre-order window won't open until next Thursday anyway, and make it a moot point, so I'll have to wait. So, yeah, lots of question marks to be answered. It'll be interesting to see. But I honestly don't think there will be... I don't think a first-generation direct drive product from Thrustmaster will be especially exciting. You know, it'll be good to see them get on the market. They are definitely looking at some hard times ahead unless they dramatically lower the price on their existing products. And certainly, you know, if they want to compete long term, they're going to want to get a direct drive product out, because that's the future. So that's Thrustmaster, and that's pretty much the sim racing content for this video. So if you watched this far, thank you very much. Now I'm just going to talk about the state of gaming, just sort of generally, and then after that, what's coming up on content for my channel. So for those of you who are more regularly viewing, just in an interesting conversation with a friend of mine, we were both kind of laughing at the fact that people still complaining they can't get their hands on a next generation console, when the actual fact of the matter is that there hasn't been anything terribly exciting released for next generation since launch. I mean, I've really enjoyed Returnal. Returnal's pretty much the biggest release on PS5 since the thing came out. You know, I've enjoyed playing the PS5 games I have. Obviously, the next-gen versions of stuff like FIFA and that are quite nice. But in reality, it's getting more play as a PS4 Pro, PS4 Pro Plus. The thing I'm playing the most at the moment is Mass Effect, and when I wasn't playing that, I was working my way back through other PS4 games. So, it's not an essential purchase yet by any stretch of the imagination. And as a bigger kick in the teeth, the announcement that a number of PS5 what were previously PS5 tentpole releases, like for example Gran Turismo 7, the fact that that's been now announced that, oh, it's going to be backported or whatever onto PS4, that's not good news as far as what the PS5 players are going to be getting, because the only way this is not a bit of a shafting for the PS5 players is that they just go, well, the PS5 version is the lead platform, and if you're doing, you know, online crossplay with PS4, you know, there will be some downgrade to accommodate that, so smaller packs or whatever have you, in terms of the number of cars you're racing against or whatever have you. But if you're, you know, if there's PS5 hoppers, then you get the full fat experience. Because the simple fact has shown that if you look at, you know, where PC sim racing has gone in the years since the PS4 came out, the extra hardware has allowed some really amazing stuff like Assetto Corsa Competizione to really come out and stretch its legs. You know, the version of ACC on PS4 is gutted compared to the PC version. So I would want to see you know, it's really not nice if the next gen console players are getting shafted on this one. I guess we just got to wait and see. But really, the release calendar for PlayStation 5 and for Xbox Series X since they came out has been pretty dry. It's either been cross-gen games like Hitman 3, which is a fantastic game, and it's slightly better on PS5. You know, Yakuza 7 finally came out on PS5, and it's the better version. You know, we got upgraded versions of Control, and, you know, thanks to PlayStation Plus, I didn't pay anything for that, so that's nice, even though I'd already played through it on PC. And, you know, just going through the releases, you know, they're just, like, Persona 5 Strikers is a PS4 game. That was something that I was playing through before Yakuza 7 came out. Yeah, it's just been either PS5 upgraded versions of games that we've already got, which, you know, not the worst thing, but again, nothing to rush out and buy a console for. And Returnal really has been the only exclusive on PS5, and it's really one of the few games that actually feels like it couldn't be on anything else. But prior to that, I was playing Nier Replicant, and now that Mass Effect Legendary's come out, that's what I've been playing. So they're really, like, I'm glad I've got one. It's the best PlayStation out at the moment for playing what is available on PlayStation. But yeah, there's just, it's a wasteland. Maybe it'll feel a little bit less of a non-event once we see, you know, Ratchet and Clank. You know, Ratchet and Clank isn't normally a game I'd rush out and buy. It's a kid's platformer, but there does seem to be some genuinely new tech stuff going on in this new version, so that will be worth having a look. And yeah, it's kind of tumbleweeds. You know, there's just not much coming out, and so, you know, Deathloop allegedly in September. Yeah, really, fart sound. Like, who? There's nothing to be stressing about if you haven't got your hands on a next gen console yet. They're fine, but you're not missing much. So yeah, hopefully. Hopefully 2 years after the console releases, we start to see a bit more excitement. And, you know, part of it is the effect of COVID, you know, that's unavoidable. But yeah, it's kind of been, you know, I've bought every PlayStation. No, that's not true. I've bought the PS2 and PS4 reasonably close to release, and those have had fairly good release calendars fairly soon after release. Xbox 360 I bought, I think, the year it came out, and that got a steady run of exciting games. But yeah, this is kind of like launch. It was a strong launch, lots of good games available when the console came out, but since then, you know, nothing to get excited about. So don't feel bad if you haven't got a next-gen console yet. The developers are not really rewarding anyone who's gone out and gotten one, apart from getting us, getting the definitive experience of games that are already good on PlayStation Pro or on the Xbox One X. Now, finally, my channel, some new things coming here. So I'm hoping to get some video content uploaded this today, maybe. This afternoon. Hopefully, I can do some rallying. Continue on with my career on there. I've also picked up iRacing on that cheap NASCAR promotion and made a start on there. So once I actually have a bit of footage worth uploading, I'll pop that up as well. And some ACC content coming up too. So I know it's been a bit quiet on that front, but with school holidays coming up too, I'll definitely have a bit more time for racing. So for the 3 or 4 people who actually watch the sim racing content, like the actual sim racing footage on the channel, that's something that'll be coming along soon. So if you made it this far, which, looking at the metrics isn't very many people, but looking at the metrics, thank you for those who have. Yeah, stay tuned. More things will be coming.